Hi, and welcome to a boot room with a difference. Well, my guest today is a very happy man. It's Luton Town's manager, David Pleat. And the reason the boot room is different is that for the first time ever, we were able to get a manager, that's David Pleat, to reveal the tactics that he would use in the hope of causing a major cup upset. And I think the result shows, David, that it worked for you. But in terms of achievement...
We took a chance, didn't we, Andy?
Yeah, but in terms of achievement, how good did that feel last night?
I was very pleased for everyone, obviously connected with the club, and particularly for the players, because there's a nice little balance between youth and experience. And it's nice to get some plaudits. And what we were also pleased with, really, we played a very good team, 2 sporting games, and they were very, what's the word, you know, when you're used to winning and you lose, it's not easy sometimes to be humble and decent.
He was very generous, Kevin, wasn't he?
I think Newcastle were terrific, and we worked very hard to contain them for 2 games, and we've got the breaks ourselves.
Well, before you and I actually look back at some important parts of that game, let's just turn the clock back about 24 hours. Well, as I said, from Andy Gray's boot room to David Pleat's boot room. The time is actually, what, almost 5 o'clock on Wednesday, well, evening. Just about 3 hours from kick-off, so we're not pulling a fast one here at all. And as I said earlier, it's great for David to allow us in here and give us an insight as to what a manager has to do to try and cause, what I think David would agree would be a cup upset. First of all, David, again, thanks very much for inviting us in. Great result when you played them up there, a result that probably most of the nation didn't think you would get, but it was a wonderful result. But now, you have the job of finishing it off, I suppose. I was just thinking, does the game, though, for you, come at a good time, the way your team are playing?
Well, I think a fair time. We've had to make a couple of changes to the side that played in the Newcastle game for different reasons. I've got a very young centre-forward in tonight, and because of that, I'm playing a slightly more experienced ball on the left-hand side, which means that the boy Thorpe, who played promisingly there and did a good job, has been sacrificed to the subs bench. It's sometimes about youth and experience, right-footers, left-footers, and the balance.
Your selection, David, for tonight's game, is it influenced by what you expect Newcastle selection to be, or is it the strongest side, your side, the strongest you have available, and you're saying, no, go and impose yourself on them?
To a certain extent, it's Hobson's choice, because we've lost the man up front, Dixon. But by the same token, we obviously believe, we're not fools, that if they pass the ball to the very best of their ability tonight, and we were to do the same, they should be, if Kevin's got his purchases right, better than us.
Yeah.
We did draw with them last year in quite an emotional game here, when they were just faltering a shade and they wanted points, and the atmosphere, it's difficult. What we're hoping for tonight is a fast start. Now, at Newcastle, it was very much the plan to contain them for the first 20 minutes and try and hope that the terraces transmitted some anxiety through to the players. And then, of course, we were fortunate we scored a goal. But tonight is a slightly different game. I have to look at what we've got available and how we're going to play. I'm looking at their downsides, and it's hard to find them, but they're not a big side. No. We have to use the players that are athletic within our team and hope that their legs don't, if you like, succumb to the nerves of the evening. And we have put 2 left-sided players on this side of the field, and we're hoping that we're able to manoeuvre the ball with a swing of the foot towards the right, where we've got our runners and our more inventive play.
Before we actually talk about your side, David, the first thing I suppose you have to guess is what team you're going to face. What team Kevin Keagan's. Now, we know Bracewell's injured. We know he's not playing. So if we say Newcastle are in the blue here, what would you expect to be facing tonight?
Well,
what team?
At Newcastle, we were a little bit surprised. We know what Cole was going to do and where he's going to play, and he makes marvellous little shallow runs sliding between people when balls are wide. We're also difficult with Cole, because if we push out too much, the ball over the top, Cole can chase us and run us, although Dreyer, our centre-back, is quick. But Cole will be the leader of the line. Now, at Newcastle, Beardsley played fairly far forward.
Did that surprise you?
A little bit. In the first half, which suited us, he carried him on to peak. In the second period, Kevin was quite clever. Beardsley was withdrawn more. Lee came inside, Clark came out.
Would you expect Peter to start deeper tonight then?
Peter could well start deeper. If he starts deeper, our concern is what we do with Harper. We don't want Pete coming. So Pete is going to have to stay and look after... So he's kind of our spare man, our reader at the back.
Trevor Peake.
Trevor Peake. Now, it's very important for us that Alan Harper, who's just playing in a certain area there, that if Cole drifts into midfield, he's close... Beardsley. He's close enough to pick him up. But because I feel they have, if you like, slightly more talented players than we have, and because I think that it's inhibiting sometimes to say to younger players, he's your man, you stop him, and we are at home and we've got to try and take the bull by the horns, we've basically said tonight, we work hard to get behind the ball. We spoke about where we're going to pressure, at what distance we're going to pressure, and obviously the lead man is usually the front man and then the other people come towards him as such. But Alan Harper, he only has to worry, if you like, about defending in these areas, because it's absolutely vital that our left-sided midfield player, who's our playmaker, tries to impose himself on the game. And we don't want him to be too deep. So he's got to be looking to come here. Now, if at that stage we think it's Elliott who's come in for...
So you're gambling that Bracewell's replacement is Robbie Elliott?
And a holding midfield player.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You would expect the other three, Lee, Clark and Sellers, to be the same?
Yes, we would. We would expect them to be the same, and they're very good at interchanging. I made 1 or 2 points to our players, which are in general. I think that Lee, Beardsley, Clark, I think, is possibly the best in the country at this, and certainly the left-back, Beresford.
So you expect Beresford? I mean, would you expect...
Yeah. Well, we assume that is Watson, the footballer, Venison, Howie, who can play too and come forward, and Beresford. They're all comfortable on the ball. We know that, and we have to accept that, as long as we make sure they've got nowhere to go to. But the important thing, the 4 players I was mentioning are very comfortable. When they play the ball, they follow the ball. They follow with their run. And whoever's closest to whoever it may be, it could be Beresford coming forward. We don't want Beresford to get round the outside, whatever happens, and play the balls in there. We want to stop them there and force them infield. But if Beresford plays infield, for example, from here, and say Clark comes to play the 1-2, they run infield for 1-2s. It's so important that every player, whoever's closest to any man playing the ball, stays with his man. Because I believe they've got very good players at doing that. And they may not get the next ball, but then it's the ball after that. They're still on the run, the third man run.
So talk us through your team, Dave. Tell us the team that you have picked tonight.
Well, the team we've picked, we've got the goalkeeper in, who's having a very sound season, considering it's his first season. He's only 24. The centre-backs, Peake and Dreyer, have some kind of experience for sure. Trevor Peake, I read this morning, is 37 tomorrow. But he's doing marvellous well. He's having a second coming. He's doing terrific. Des Linton, we've got an athletic right-back who is coping with the football quite well. I don't think Sellers would beat him on the outside, for sure, but Sellers might make the play. We assume Sellers is playing. We felt there was a little bit unease about Sellers when we played there, but we know he can deliver a good ball. And what we're hoping, of course, is that we can push them back and force them back to defend. And what we've tried to do, our centre-forward is good in the air. Although he's only 18, he is good in the air. Andy,
John Hartson.
I'd like you to watch him closely tonight. I hope he does himself justice. And we think that he can trouble Venison in the air. We're playing a big boy on the left-hand side, who has played centre-forward, has played centre-back.
Jamie Campbell?
A lad called Jamie Campbell. He's a big, strong, long strider. But
Will he play wide? Will he play wide?
Not too wide. They'll play slightly narrow on this side because we haven't got natural width, and my left-back is naturally right-footed, a boy called Julian James. Right. So it's not easy for us to... The only person that could come out to make extra players is Priest coming round the outside to get balls in. It could maybe that happens. But I am balanced to a certain extent. There are 2 left-footers on that side of the field. But he's tall. And we think there's 2 things tonight from our point of view. We feel we need to get the ball there. If you can imagine that, the only piece of grass that is possibly decent on the pitch, or on any pitch, is the 4 corners. The 4 corners aren't used enough because it's hard to get there. They force you inside. If we can get there enough times tonight, in that area there, we think we can cause a surprise.
Particularly on the right?
Particularly on the right. We are going, you'll see how badly this plan goes wrong when you watch us play. But
how well it goes,
we're going to play down the right-hand side. Right now, and I base it on this. The boy Telfer has confidence to run anyway, okay? I've got to encourage him to put his foot on the ball occasionally.
So, I mean, Alan Harper's here as your holder.
Yes. The people that can make the wide men, this boy's quite imaginative, Oaks. And rather than him play up there like two wooden players,
yes,
he'll come slightly towards the play. However the play develops, he'll try and come towards the play and try and find some space. Not easy. But when Telfer has the ball, I have demanded in training, in a couple of small sessions that I've done, that whoever is the nearest player must get round him. Just let's, for example, say that he takes a marker. Just say it's Sellers that goes with him, it doesn't matter. And I'm saying to this man, Linton, you must force the issue too. Between these three players, Telfer, Linton and Oaks, they have to try and get behind here. They don't have to get behind, of course, they can cross it diagonally.
I was just going to say, will you be happy to see the ball delivered from as
It's
deep as
unlike us, we tend to want to get too far up before we deliver. But I will remind them that a diagonal ball to Hartson will also cause them problem with him pulling away. We feel that if we can get on the outside, it just might disturb this man, Howie. Howie is important to him, he heads it for them. He can head it in that box and that box. And if we can pull Howie out when we think we've got a chance of heading a goal, we don't head many goals, so it's quite exciting. So that really would be how we're trying to get forward. We've based a lot of our thoughts on set plays. We hope we can win more corners. At Newcastle, you know, I don't know what the corner count was, possibly something like 7-1. We only got one corner. We got a chance from it. And we hope that from corners and free kicks, that we're tuned in enough on what we've done, just to get a, you know, the percentage game, about corners and free kicks. It's something we've never paid maybe enough attention to here. But I see this game being one that it might be very important to.
So you've paid, particularly for this game, David, special attention to set pieces?
Definitely, yes.
And your players are drilled?
Once again, depends on the deliverer. On the right-hand side, it will be Oaks. We will crowd this. We'll have two in here. We'll have two here. And we've got people moving here. And we're hoping for the flick on, which is the one hand, Andy, because this programme does go out tomorrow night.
Tomorrow night, pal.
So you can, the ridicule...
One hand is near post.
Is the near post. If he goes like that as he's going to the ball, we're going to have movement here, and he's going to drive it towards the edge. Because we feel if we can keep it in this penalty spot area, we're not sure if Mike Hooper really want to come for it. And if we can win the first, and we've done something remarkable tonight, this man, 37 tomorrow, Peaky, we're going to say...
Go up for corners.
Yeah, go and put a pound on yourself, win a corner. So he's had a double, him to score and us to win. And he's going to stand on the line, and we hope he's still got enough mobility to spin and hook one in. But it's like everything else.
Will you, from set pieces, David, deliberately try to miss Howie out? I'm saying, if Howie marks at the near post, will you predominantly use
I'll push Hartson away. We think he'll mark Hartson. Right. He'll see Hartson and can strong. So we're saying to Hartson, he's got to try and run it. The hardest thing for players, and you'll appreciate this, is to run under the ball. They see the ball, and they all want to go for the ball. And you've got to have two very unselfish forwards who are prepared to literally, as that ball is being struck, make a dash and take, hopefully, the biggest man out of the play.
So you're looking for plenty possession, if possible, in these areas?
I'm looking
for
our right side to squeeze as much as possible. I'm looking for this man to play sensible defending, because this man is dangerous, Beardsley. Lee, we think, is a good player, two-footed. But, of course, there's this crazy statistic that tells us that they've only scored 3 goals from midfield. And,
that's true.
And we've got to make sure that when we're attacking, we're still cautious on the way back. Not easy to do because, but I think that no matter what our players feel tonight, they've got to feel they can take the game, because if they're in awe or if they sit, they can't win the game. They have got to show momentum. And it's strange, the last 2 league games, the first 20 minutes we played really well and not scored. We scored later in the game. The first 20 minutes we didn't score, but we took the game to the opposition. And I can't help feeling that when there's a packed house, by our standards, a packed house, that the momentum and the tension of the game, the passion of the game, the whole thing is set in the first 20 minutes. And if we allow Newcastle to stroke it around and get too much possession and to begin to believe, we won't win the game.
Can I just ask you on this, because I've watched these two all season in the Premier League, as you know, David. I've watched them destroy teams. Just with one moment of brilliance.
Yes.
What has got to go right for you here? What have you got to get right? The most important thing for it to work again tonight.
Complete concentration of this man.
Right.
Because
Trevor Peake.
Because we know that Beardsley And the other can play the 1-2s and get behind. And of course, there's this marvellous gift of going left to right, and swaying. He's got to be closed so quickly, and he's got a habit of when we're under pressure of staying out here, just sitting out. And I think it's so important. Let's say we come under real pressure here, and there's Lee crossing the ball, and there's people pushing up. Sellers has gone forward. When that ball comes out, whoever's our nearest man to him really must close him quickly. We stressed it in the first game, and we didn't do it too badly. But if we give him time to sit on the ball there and compose himself and decide what he's going to do, he'll destroy us. If we can rush him and make him feel marvellous brain that he's got a little bit like that, then I think we might have a chance of stopping him play something clever. You can't suggest to me that Cole scores a lot from headed balls.
No, he doesn't.
To be fair, they don't cross a lot of balls in. They work their goals, they work hard for their goals. They have this pressure, and it builds up, and you think the goal's bound to come, and eventually it does come, because they're so Liverpool-like, patient. If Lee gets the ball here, he won't throw it away. No. And they've seen our goalkeeper. Our goalkeeper caught very well there. So he'll work it infield, and they'll work it across, and they'll work it across, and they join in. And it's marvellous to see. But we do have a chance, I feel, against them of getting goal side. And I think that's why we might have bought Fox, because he's got another one with real pace. Real pace. And
are you going man for the whole game?
Dreyer
on Cole?
Dreyer will be with Cole. And we've just got to make sure that, for example, if the ball's down in these areas and the whole thing's being pressed there, that he's marking Cole in such a way that he's ready to get out on this side.
You would always have him ball side?
Always.
Always.
That's it. He can have it there. He's got.
And drop off him even a couple of yards?
Yeah, a drop off him.
You won't be looking at all to catch these offside tonight?
No, if they caught offside, Andy, I can assure you, it's because they've seen something in the play, they've looked across the line, and they've decided to step. It's not something that we're going. We feel that eventually you get caught by a linesman, you're bound to get caught, and with Cole's excessive pace, it's slightly dangerous policy. The chance where he may catch us, if Newcastle are in the lead with, I don't know, 20 minutes to go, and we're having to really push, that's when Cole may catch us, because we're having to squeeze out.
If I was to say to you, and we know, I mean, it would be great, you as a manager, to think my 11 lads are going to play well for me tonight. It doesn't often happen, David.
No.
So if I was to say to you, OK, David, there are 4 key men that you need to be in top form tonight. If you're going to get the result, who would those 4 be?
Well, the 2 youngsters have to play as well as they've ever played, because this boy hasn't really played much in that position. That's a gamble I take. Had I got the boy Hughes tonight, who's suspended, I'd be absolutely confident, because he's a very confident boy.
So Campbell
there's a question mark. So if I was going to sleep last night with the team and you're thinking, can I rely on those? There is a question mark, whether he can cope with that position too well enough.
Who else?
He has to start confidently, because he's got such a... He's playing up there with his back to goal, basically, and that's a big responsibility for a young boy, John Hartson.
2 other players need to play well for you.
2 other players need to play well, I would say, because we're looking to win the game, and I'm not thinking defensively. Priest has to play well, because he can pass, and he's got an eye for a pass, OK? So we're really going towards forward players, because I believe Newcastle, I mean, we restricted them to a penalty there, but to be fair, they had 1 fantastic chance, 3 half chances, and a bit of pressure. It wasn't enough to convince us to cut us up, but in making sure they only had those few chances, we did defend. Today, we've got to go a little bit more for the game. So therefore, going for the game, you know Newcastle are capable in most games of getting a goal. Most games 2 goals. Means we've got to get 3.
That should be a good game.
For sure 2. For sure 2. I think for sure 2.
Right.
Now, to score 2, he's got to be the front of players. And I would say Oakes is important. Telfer, very reliable. He will work up and down. He can pass inferior. He can do all sorts of things inferior, but he's a tremendous sense of anticipation and getting back to pick up balls when it breaks down. Does it naturally. Priest has to pass the ball well and has to believe that occasionally he might slide through, which is foreign to his nature. And I suppose this young man, who's done pretty well recently since we've taken him from that position where he's inhibited on the line, he has done very well recently. He's had a couple of marvellous moments. He scored a couple of wonderful goals. And he's got pace. And if he can get at them, they might get a little bit of a surprise. Didn't do enough at Newcastle.
So if I was to say right now, right, David, Scott Oakes, John Hartson, Jamie Campbell, and David Priest will be at it tonight, you would be a happier manager?
Yes, I mean, I feel at this stage the boys... I'm nervous because I'm a manager. I'm not expected to be overconfident because, after all, it's just Newcastle. But I think the boys are looking forward to the occasion. Now, the only thing I have to hope is that the younger element don't get a shock when Newcastle still start rolling that ball around and with that terrific movement that it can do. I have to say, which is interesting, that Kevin's been on about his pitch. His pitch is no worse than our pitch. Once we start the game, it cuts off.
Is that an advantage or disadvantage to you?
No, we're a passing side. We like a good pitch too. And then he makes another point, which I've heard, and he speaks very genuinely about the game, that he feels that Newcastle played way under par, but he feels Luton did as well as they can do. Now he's wrong. We can do better with the ball, than we did at Newcastle. But I think that without the ball, when they had the ball, I think we did do as well as we can do. But he wouldn't know that.
No, he will now, but not till tomorrow.
Well, it's only a game, Andy.
One thing, David, if I was to divide, and it's just because having watched Newcastle, if we were to divide the game into thirds, an attacking third, the midfield third, and the back third, are there certain things that you're telling your players to do when Newcastle have the ball? I mean, if I put them all back, now let me just, I don't know where your centre-backs are, but you know what I'm saying? If we were to put centre-back in there, and I say, and I give Newcastle the ball in that area, what are you telling your players
Lee's
to do?
got the ball, and he's coming. I'm saying, for sure, absolutely for sure, even though they might want to play in field, that's the strange thing. In the middle third, I've said quite clearly, make them play in field. Make them play into the rock. We've got bodies in there. Even in the attacking third, try and make them play in field.
Even in the attacking third?
Yes, try and make them play in field, because we've still got bodies to squeeze.
That sounds strange when I hear you say that they're not score a lot of headed goals.
Yeah, and I'll tell you why. Because I've seen Sellers curve so many balls, and Beresford can do it very well too. If they get into advanced positions, if they get on the outside, if they force a ball on the outside, there's no question, Andy, that's a hard ball to defend. And if they get into here, and they got there a couple of times Saturday, when we were... I think it was the boy Priest, in actual fact, was covering James, but he was covering him square instead of there. And what happened was Lee was very clever. He wriggled through the two of them and got to there. I don't want Lee to get to there. I don't want Watson to come round and get to there. Now, they're capable. Sellers can get to there, but they do it by clever passing, holding the ball and delivering at the right time, reversing the ball. I want to force them inside if I can.
So generally, you're saying from here on,
if it's possible,
we should be looking for your players to force them inside.
If Watson's coming out with a ball, and the boy Campbell is there, he has to do his best to try and get out to him, difficult thing to do, and get on his outside and force that ball in. Because as that happens, my front man, if pulls in here, Telfer's gone back like he does marvellously. He's pushed in here. Okay, and the boy Priest is in there. In other words, I'm only defending with... I'm defending with 9. I've still got Hartson can have a rest. He can have a cup of tea. He's out the game. You know what I mean? That's my best chance. I don't want them to get here, Andy. I don't want them to get there. It's Irish, this game. I want to get there. I want to get there.
You want to get there?
I want to get there. If I can get there, I'll be happy. This is marvellous experience for the likes of Campbell, Hartson, Telfer, Linton, younger players, Scott Oates. You know, there's 4 old men, goalkeeper in his first season, and 7 rookies. And because of that, the experience can only be good for them, and it should bring them on. And at the end of the evening, the most important thing will be to me that they've done themselves justice.
Well, I think they did do themselves justice. And after the break, David and I are going to look back at some of the major incidents from that game. Well, it was wonderful entertainment, David, last night. Something that certainly we all at Sky thoroughly enjoyed, and I'm sure the viewers did as well. What I've tried to do today, while you've been sitting there basking in your glory of last night, is pick out 1 or 2 of the things that you talked about yesterday. The first thing I thought about was that when you're stopping a team like Newcastle, and you were obviously concerned with Peter Beardsley, and you mentioned the fact that you had picked Alan Harper to just play in that hole where Peter Beardsley might drop off to. How pleased were you with that part of the tactic?
Quite pleased. Once or twice in the first period, and that's why really what we're judging, because when the game is tight, Beardsley came into position where he was able to turn and face us and play dangerously.
I mean, if I run this on, this is one of the first instances I picked up. If I just highlight, first of all, Beardsley, so that the people at home can figure it. He's just right there in the middle of the park. I think that's Alan Harper there, David.
Yeah, we'd be happy with that. We've got enough players behind the ball, certainly. Priest confronts the ball. As I think Venison plays that ball through, you see Harper go towards Beardsley fairly and squarely and make him play that ball quickly back.
But your concern when you spoke earlier that day was that you didn't want any way at all the centre back.
That's right. I don't want them to make channels free for them to slide into behind them. I need those four to, if you like, look into their areas. If you want to divide the pitch up into four areas across the width, it's important they retain their areas.
Just going to wind us on a little bit. In that situation, it's another one we see Peter. He's in that hole.
Yeah, this is a good ball by Beresford, in actual fact. At that time, we wouldn't be worried. If Beresford plays into Beardsley, Pete's quick, close enough to find. He's also in a semi-covering position there. But it's a very good ball, this one, by Beresford. It's delicately played over the
so is that why
top of Pete. Harper's close enough there. Harper's close enough there. He's shielding the two central defenders. He's playing that nice central role. As that ball comes into goal, you see Beardsley. Beardsley's a marvellous spinner. I think he's an example to all young players. When that ball's past his shoulder, he spins. But you see Harper there, he reacted very quickly. He got back in there and he made them play hurriedly, and the goalkeeper picked it up. But we were pleased with that bit of defending. You
were pleased a couple of times, but there were 2 or 3 times I noticed where Peter really did harm you.
Yes.
In the first half.
Sure, and obviously he did develop as the danger for Newcastle last night. You saw him pick that ball up rather deep before playing to Lee.
He's in that hole he likes to play in.
Yeah, he's still that. We've still got players in defensive positions. We should be, if I'm looking down in that from my position, I'm reasonably comfortable with that. I have 2, 4, 6, 7 men behind the ball, and if
is he closed quick enough?
I would say on that position he isn't closed quick enough. And here we see him do what he's very clever at, jink. And I say to them, stay on your feet, stay on your feet, stay on your feet. Now, to be fair to Dreyer, I believe, I've got to give credit to the right players tonight. There's been trouble in the morning. You've got to give credit there to Dreyer for closing at the deck as he hit that shot and made him shoot slightly hurriedly.
Would you have liked Alan Harper in that situation to have been a little bit further round in contact with Peter?
Yeah.
That one time when...
well, I think there's always going to be occasions where Alan is supporting the play, where other people... If Alan has gone to support the play a little bit, it's up to the other midfield player. It's Telfer there who you see 12 yards behind him. That's it, that's Telfer.
Coming in there.
Maybe if Harper scored out, Telfer should be dropping in a little bit. But we're still happy. We've still got a 3 against 2. Harper's making a 4v2 there. And they just get Linton's covering right round. But this is once again the cleverness.
Is this good play as well? Are we saying this is a lovely run by Cole as well?
No question about that. I think their running off the ball is splendid in tight situations.
Because across he goes.
He takes Dreyer across. He nicks it superbly well. And this is worth the admission money.
Oh, it was. I bet you were pleased to see it go over there.
I thought it was a marvellous shot. I almost got up on my feet and then I forgot what team I was managing.
And again, we talked earlier, one of the other things you mentioned was the running, the midfield runners. And this was an example where Beardsley picked out Lee Clark there, David, and he's obviously spots that gap in between the 2 centre-backs, I think it is. And that was a worry for you before the game, wasn't it, the runners?
Yes. I mean, they weren't going to get behind us by dribbling past full-backs. We knew it to be by inter-passing and inter-movement. When he picks that ball up, this is a clever little runner, Clark, but see how well Dreyer does here to spot this. They could have stood up possibly, maybe, for an offside.
But he goes across.
He goes well. We never even discussed offsides or looking to play. There's a splendid anticipation by Dreyer, read it well, and he's very quick. So, really, I have no complaints about the defending there.
You're quite happy with that. Yeah. One of the other major things you were trying to do, David, was when they got the ball, certainly in they're attacking 2/3, you wanted to turn them infield.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people say in the game, in the final third of the field, I remember having this conversation at length with Ray Clements at Spurs, you know, that in the middle third, fine, you force them inside, but in the widest third, particularly if they're in quite wide positions, force them outside, they've still got to cross it in. It all depends how close they are to the byline and how close they are in relation to the near post. But we felt that if they got into wide positions in the attacking third, they can bend these balls behind us, and we were in trouble. And
you didn't want them in here, did you?
No. We didn't want them in
there.
They can play the ball across us and back from side to side as much as they can, but we mustn't let them get beyond us. And once or twice we were caught because our player covering our fullback on the inside got a little bit square.
But in general, how pleasing was that part of the tactic, sending them inside?
Oh, there's no question about that. I think that was... yeah,
I think we can actually see
no question about that.
one or two of the instances. I picked out, again, David, and you can talk us through them about players doing their jobs well. I think you showed some element
of surprise before the game when I just spoke about this.
Yes.
When you said, and would you do it in the attacking third too? Well, there you see the boy Campbell, who's done a very... He's gone immediately, he's run, and he's tried to get on the outside there of, I assume it's Lee, and we've got double cover there at the moment, but it makes him come in field. It makes him come in field. And then, as he comes in field, then he's really going into... It gives us more chance.
You're happy to have him go in field into two players and happy to have your centre-backs...
Well, what can he do there?
Mark two against
he's got a chance of 1-2 if he's particularly perceptive with a pass. If he's very, very clever, and I would have thought only because he's got the dribbling skills, he could take a couple of people out of the game for a shot.
But even when they go back out like that, David,
that's not a problem to us.
Still... Then you get your player out there, and then you were saying to him, turn them back in again.
Yes.
Turn them back in again.
I don't want to get them... Well, quite simple, I don't want them to get behind us. And as the game goes on, I think we sat deeper anyway.
This was the area you didn't want them into.
I didn't want them there, and you see on this particular occasion, when Lee takes it cleverly, two-footed player this, very good turn. Cole tries something a little bit acrobatic, and we managed to probably shade luckily there to get a block on, but we've got bodies around there.
I wanted to mention something to you because you mentioned it, and I mentioned it in my commentary, where I felt occasionally in the first half you were on for change of play. If Newcastle would have changed it possibly quicker,
I think
you were on. You would have been struggling. And I think probably, as you said, you felt that is that the boy Telfer there at times tucked in too far?
When Newcastle had the ball in their left back position, I don't know if we can.
We've got this instant from the right back.
Yeah.
But this is, I mean, this is exactly what you wanted your team to do. Send them in here.
Yeah, there's no problem there.
But where I thought, perhaps, from there...
They can change that ball now. They got to change, but you see right in the bottom corner, just right there, we have a player there ready to come back. So we're defending there once again with 9 men. There's only probably Hartson who's up the field, he's having his break. But the other 9 are grafting there.
And you're quite... I mean, that would have suited you, any ball.
Yes, but of course it's against Newcastle's nature to give the ball away with what I call a 50-50 type balls. I mean, there's that ball played, and we've got that ball away.
So, defensively, and I know... I was just thinking, you talked about Cole's pace and the worry about him catching you. It was noticeable that there were very few offsides given against Newcastle. I can't remember too many.
No.
That part of it obviously went to plan.
Yes. But in sitting deeper, of course, it gives more work for the midfield players to do who are trying to protect the back four, and therefore it's very easy, and that's why we did well last night. I have to say we did well, because if they're all coming back to protect that back four, we've got to be very good at working the ball out ourselves to link with Hartson, because if we play it too long to Hartson, these midfield players who are defending the ball here...
I've got a long way to go.
They can't possibly get there. I'm not asking you, you're asking for a colossal effort by this boy to hold that ball and give us time. And all our best play was when they got a little bit closer to him and he came off and touched it very early and quickly, and these boys were on the run then, and we were counter-attacking their interpassing. To interpass as well as they do, they bring a lot of men into the game. If we can nick it and go quickly, there was some space. They might have missed Bracewell a shade. He might have held the ground a little bit better than the younger player, Elliott. But then he would be expected to. He's more experienced. But Elliott's a good player.
Well, we're going to have a quick break, David, and then look at some of the more positive things that your team did.
You're watching Sky Sports.
Having dealt with their threat, one of the areas that I noticed you particularly wanted to try and exploit, one of the main areas you were aiming to get the ball, would I be right in even saying you were wanting to overload your right side and have an awful lot of emphasis on the ball coming down this side, David?
Yeah, we spoke about that. We spoke about joining in, overlapping, or trying to make 2v1s as much as possible, because we felt that if we got a quality ball in, we felt that Hartson could damage them in the air, and we also felt Campbell, if he'd got the energy, could get up there and make a second prong to attack the ball.
How pleased were you in the first half. And again, I'm saying first half because I think
before a
when
game
it's
opens up.
0-0,
Yeah,
before
sure.
the game takes us, that's when the tactics are being displayed.
I think so. I felt we got into these areas 2 or 3 times, and because we spoke about diagonals before the game, they had it kind of imprinted on the mind. I would like them to have gone on further. Linton got here a couple of times, and I wanted the join to come from Telfer or Oakes possibly, to slide in behind and to get the ball into a more advanced position. But Linden gave the ball away a couple of times too readily from this position, where he hit it in too eagerly. And on a couple of other occasions when we got into here, and we kept talking about it before the game, the quality of the cross was poor.
I mean, I picked out a couple. I mean, this right said, I mean, you talked about the left-footed players, Priest and Campbell switching the play and being able to just transfer it like that, David.
Yes. Well, we had our main forward runners on the right-hand side, and we thought that that's our best chance. It's nothing to do with Newcastle's strengths or weaknesses. Our best chance to get forward was on our right-hand side.
Well, part of that plan was also what you told us was to, I think that's Steve Howie there, was to draw him away from the centre.
Well, we wanted to move him as much as possible because we felt he was their strongest player in the air. Me, see a ball being delivered by Oakes, we got him out the way, but John Hartson's a little bit slow maybe to see that or to react.
That's what you were after.
Yes, I mean that was a better ball. I mean, we can't expect better than to put it into that area.
I think that was probably the best. But this is the way you worked. You work it, and the way you do work it. I mean, John's, he kept him consciously away from the play.
Yes. Yes, he must pull away from the play at all times. I mean, I think most coaches would tell you that. They want to pull the central defender away. You've got the full going. We don't want him keep coming towards the play. Let them open the space out. Let them get on.
Were you surprised in that case then that Steve Howie didn't swap?
Well, in that particular instance, obviously, Howie's doing the covering, and between them, Venison's aware of Hartson off his shoulder, and Watson's looking to pull out. You see him pulling out there as that ball is played through to Oakes.
No, this is what you prayed for, wasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
If I could have said to you,
yes,
I'm going to give you the ball there.
We've got a 2v2 in the middle. We've managed to get Howie out of the play, and here a quality ball gives us a header for goal, I think. And he can't deliver.
Like you, I thought you got in great positions that you wanted. As a manager, you talked about that side, and you got there. You got into this area, but couldn't deliver the cross.
Yeah.
That must have been so frustrating for you.
Well, I mean, it didn't happen that many times to make me feel like go-to crackers. But it's so hard to get into these areas. We spoke before the game, you know, if you can get into those areas enough with 2v1s or with dribbling skills, it's very difficult nowadays because there's so much double cover. And people are so fit midfield players to get back and cover fullbacks. But if you can get into these positions, then I would suggest that if you get into those positions more than the opposition over 90 minutes, you've got more chance of winning the game.
We also talked about 4 important players, and you mentioned who those 4 were. And it was, I don't suppose it's any coincidence in the fact that 3 of them, I thought that Jamie Campbell worked tirelessly for you on that left side. He worked selfishly up and down, marvellous performance.
He did the job to the letter.
Yeah. But you also said that it was important that David Priest not only passed the ball well for you, but ran forward. And you said it was something that's alien to him.
It is, alien to him, and that's why David Priest did so well, really. He's got a very good touch. He's got very good vision.
I'll just highlight him there. That's him there already.
Yeah, he is him. He's putting his arm up right now. Priest, he knows something that we don't know. He must think he's the quickest man in the club. But he's put his hand up, so that means he's looking for the ball, which is a good sign. I mean, he worked marvellously well for the team. But look at this lovely touch, Hartson. And there's Oakes, who's a very good passer of a ball. Now, we thought at one stage he might be a midfield player. He still may be a midfield player. But he sees this ball, one touch, and there's Priest running. Now, if I could have convinced him before the game that he was the fastest man at the club, he might have taken it on himself.
Did you want him to go in there, David?
Desperately, but in his heart, he knew he may not have the legs to do it. So he plays a ball, what I call a safe ball, but he's lost the advantage. But if we could take it back just a shade, Andy, if you can do that.
Let me just do that.
You saw, as Priest started to go through, Oakes came and linked to him again, on the right of him. And I don't know if Oakes called, but it's so important, communication between players.
Here we go.
But if he could have just stood on that ball there, Oakes wasn't far away. He easily had the ability to reverse a little one in.
And it's unusual for him to play a ball as wide as he did there. Again, he gets involved. Do you think in a situation like this is probably where they missed Bracewell, because he just seems to drift in here, and Newcastle have a big gap, you know, between the back and the midfield, David, isn't it?
Yeah.
Again, your big centre forward.
Yeah, lovely touch. Lovely touch, and here's Priest spreading it. Lost control there, Oaksy, down the middle, but there's no one sees a pass as well as Priest. He has done so well for years. He's a marvellous little campaigner.
And I mean, I thought he was one of your top players. I thought your right back had a tremendous driving game as well. As you said to me, he was athletic and everything. John Hartson, no one in the country would have seen an awful lot of him. You said it was important he started well. And he did, I think. I mean, I think the couple of things I've got here, David, they may seem nothing, but from being a young player at one time, and we all were, something like this in a big game, like just winning the ball and just popping it off.
Well, purely on that run, the fact that he battled for the ball and he was determined, immediately tells the defender they're not going to have an easy ride.
And what was good for me was he spun away immediately and got himself into the
As soon as he's played that ball, get away, John, get away, John. He's heard it on the training ground. Get away, John, get away. Get to that back post.
I mean, this again, I think he drove twice. He tries to play it first time, but it's the confidence from that to drive the ball.
Yes. Well, I mean, you know, when you see players like that who've come at 15, 16, you look at your coaching staff and you say they've worked well, haven't they?
Now his goal. We've talked about this.
This is a ball, slightly more direct ball.
Does it surprise you that you got in one?
Yeah, well, if you see yes, of course, there's a surprise there. Mike Hooper came. Possibly, he might have even stayed at home. It was a very, very difficult one for Hooper. A difficult decision. The ball was holding up, but it was a clever touch, wasn't it?
Wonderful touch. It didn't surprise you?
No, he's a good kind of. You slide balls into positions. We do a little shooting practice where balls are slid towards the byline and they've got to race after them and slide them in from narrow angles.
You felt Scott Oakes didn't do himself justice in the first game at Newcastle, I think you said to me.
Well, he worked for the team, but he didn't get the same opportunities to run behind them because we were being pushed more. And we knew that at home, because of all sorts of circumstances, we'd have a little bit more life in us to go forward.
This is what you expect from him?
Yes, it's a clever ball once again by Priest, but he's got this will to run. At least he had it last night. And there was a debate.
There was a debate. You know, when you talk to me and you were talking about Andy Cole and you said, if we're 1-0 down, he may punish us if we're pushing for the game. Do you think Scott Oakes did that to Newcastle here? Again, I mean, John Hartson gets the touch, but from here...
Yes, this is a real driving run. I don't even think people said Beresford should have held his ground. He thought he had a chance. I mean, that is super play, but this epitomises, if you like, our performance.
Were you sitting on the bench encouraging him, even at this late stage, a right back?
Well, I was hoping some drunk Newcastle supporter would come on and kick it in the net. But it's one of our players that appears, and it's a few minutes to go.
Now, in all honesty, David, were you expecting Des Linton to just drive it straight at goal and maybe take a touch and have an attempt himself?
Yes, I thought he'd take a touch, hopefully a good touch, but of course he is unchallenged. I would have thought he would have touched it on and gone for the drive. He's known Oakes a long time, we're colleagues at Leicester.
But that's brilliant.
And there is some kind of respect when he made that pass to Oakes. Respect for Oakes. It was a fine pass because a lot of players of his age, he's 20, would have kind of hesitated, panicked, but the mere fact that he was driving on gives me great heart because I believe Des has got something going for him and he's got to go and try and express himself and go forward.
So that, I imagine, as a manager, motivating your players for Newcastle United would have been pretty easy.
Yes, it wasn't too difficult. I didn't have to say too much, really. I mean, it was a big game, and we knew that we could enjoy the spotlight. And as I said to you, it was so important to us not to let ourselves down. That is the fear, that people are going to come for the first time and you don't project yourself well. And but I don't take any credit for that. I mean, there are experienced players in that team. Trevor Peake is 37 today. He's won a cup final medal. Alan Harper has been a model of consistency since he joined us 2 or 3 months ago. And John Dreher is playing awfully well. So the experienced players, David Priest has been a lovely signing for me. I signed him years ago. And I'm sure if David Priest would have been at a fashionable club, someone a bit higher up might have been pushing that publicity machine for him for honours.
And I think the one thing that worried you beforehand, David, about possibility of the young players freezing, it didn't happen.
No, it didn't happen because we started quite brightly. We did force corners early on in the game. In fact, the first corner was a good delivery, and I got quite excited. I think I got off my seat because I thought, here we go, we got a flick on, and we got obstruction given against us.
Well, it was wonderful viewing, David, and we've got more good viewing, we hope, in store this weekend. It starts on Friday, our coverage this weekend. It's from Highfield Road. It's schoolboys football, England against Wales, 7 o'clock start. Our Super Sunday is from Carrow Road. The later start, it's a 4:30 start, Norwich v Arsenal, with a 5 o'clock kick-off. And our Monday night football from the Dell, Southampton and Liverpool, both with recent new managers. That programme starts at 7 p.m. Well, once again, David, I can't thank you enough for allowing us that fascinating insight.
Took a chance, Andy.
And it was wonderful. Thanks very much.
I appreciate that.
I hope you've all enjoyed it as much as I have. See you again next week in the boot room.
This week, the name on everyone's lips is John Callard, the English full-back faced with the hardest kick in the world at